It started with a noise, a faint creak from the hallway that woke Tyler up around 2:47 a.m. The sound wasn't loud, but it was sharp enough to make him sit up in bed, heart pounding. From his room, he could see the dim strip of light under his door, and in that silence, he swore he heard soft footsteps moving past. He held his breath, listening, until everything went quiet again. The next morning, he asked his roommates, Jordan and Chris, if either of them had been up during the night. Both shook their heads. Jordan laughed it off, saying old houses make weird noises. Chris, who was half asleep at the table, mumbled something about raccoons in the attic. Tyler wanted to believe that, but something about the rhythm of those footsteps had felt human. They had been living together for 6 months in a small rental house just outside Denver. It wasn't fancy, but it was affordable, with a long hallway, 3 bedrooms, and a narrow kitchen that looked out to the backyard. Most nights were peaceful until those sounds started. At first, it was just footsteps. Then came doors opening by themselves, the TV turning on at random hours, and food going missing from the fridge. They blamed each other until Chris suggested something none of them wanted to admit: maybe someone had a spare key. That idea bothered Tyler the most. So, one afternoon, after another night of strange noises, he bought a small set of security cameras. They weren't expensive, just 4 Wi-Fi cameras with motion sensors that could record to his phone. He placed one in the living room facing the hallway, one in the kitchen, and 2 outside, covering the front and back doors. The first few nights, nothing happened. The cameras sent alerts: a curtain moving, shadows shifting, but it was always dust or light reflections. By the 4th night, Tyler stopped checking the notifications altogether. Then, on the 7th night, everything changed. It was just past midnight when Tyler's phone buzzed. Motion detected kitchen. He almost ignored it, but something in him decided to open the feed. The kitchen camera flickered, showing its usual empty scene: the fridge light off, the countertop clean, the clock glowing 12:13 a.m. Then the light above the sink turned on. No one appeared. No sound. Just the light switching itself on, holding steady for several seconds. Tyler frowned and rubbed his eyes. Maybe a power surge? But then, from the far left corner of the frame, a figure slowly stepped into view. It wasn't one of his roommates. The figure moved carefully, almost gliding, wearing a dark hoodie pulled tight around its face. It walked straight to the fridge, opened it, and stood there motionless for a few seconds, as if listening. Then it turned toward the camera. Tyler froze. The person's face was hidden, but the shape of the jawline looked disturbingly familiar, almost like Jordan's. But Jordan was asleep 2 doors down. He watched as the figure reached up, covered the camera lens with something, and the feed went black. Tyler's hands shook. He jumped out of bed, grabbed a baseball bat, and ran into the hallway. The house was silent. He knocked on Jordan's door, no answer. Chris's room, nothing. Then, from the kitchen, he heard the faint click of the fridge closing. He called out, "Who's there?" No reply. He took a slow step toward the kitchen. The light under the door was still on. When he pushed it open, the fridge stood wide open, a carton of milk lying on the floor. But there was no one there. The next morning, he replayed the footage for Jordan and Chris. They watched in disbelief. Jordan swore it wasn't him. Chris pointed out something that made all of them go cold: the intruder wasn't just opening the fridge. He was whispering something barely audible, but when Tyler turned up the volume, a soft voice repeated the same words again and again. "Don't look in the attic." Jordan laughed nervously, saying maybe it was a prank or audio feedback. But Tyler couldn't shake the feeling that the words were meant for them. That night, he decided to set an additional camera, one pointing directly toward the narrow pull-down ladder that led to the attic hatch in the hallway ceiling. Hours passed without incident. The house seemed still. At 2:31 a.m., the motion alert went off again. This time, Tyler didn't hesitate. He opened the live feed immediately. The hallway camera showed nothing at first, just the ladder folded up as usual. But then, something began to move. The attic door slowly swung open on its own, lowering the ladder down, rung by rung. No one stood beneath it. The camera caught the movement in full clarity, and Tyler felt the blood drain from his face. He raced to wake his roommates, yelling for them to get up. But as they stumbled into the hallway, the ladder was already fully extended. Cold air drifted down from the dark opening above. Chris grabbed a flashlight and shined it upward. For a moment, nothing. Then a shadow shifted deep inside the attic. A soft scraping sound echoed from within, like someone crawling across the floorboards. The flashlight flickered once, then went out completely. And from the darkness above, something whispered the same voice, clearer now. "Don't look in the attic." Jordan dropped the flashlight and backed away. Tyler reached for his phone, trying to record, but before he could hit the button, a pale hand reached down from the attic hatch, gripping the edge of the ladder. All three froze in terror as the hand tightened its hold and the ladder began to creak. The banging started again, harder this time. Not the slow dragging sound from before. This one sounded angry. Caspian froze at the bottom of the attic ladder. The bulb overhead flickered even though the switch was off. He grabbed his phone, turned on the flashlight, and climbed. Each step creaked like something didn't want him going up there. When his head finally crossed the attic floor level, the cold air hit him first like stepping into a freezer. Then he smelled it. A smell like wet dirt, and something metallic. He scanned the attic. Dust. Boxes. Old furniture. Nothing strange. But the noise continued from the far corner, behind a stack of broken chairs. "Hello," he said, hoping he wouldn't get an answer. The noise stopped. He slowly walked toward the corner. His light hit something that made his stomach twist. ****, a door. A tiny wooden door. In the attic wall. ****, like a crawl space, but smaller. No one ever told him the house had this. The wood around the handle was worn, like someone had been opening it every night. Caspian swallowed. His hand shook as he reached for the handle. The door opened on its own. A long, slow creak. Inside the tiny space, something sat curled up, small, pale, unmoving. He stepped closer, but then he heard a whisper behind him. "Don't touch him." Caspian spun around. No one was there. He pointed his light back at the crawl space. The pale figure was gone. The crawl space was empty. Then his phone buzzed. A notification from the security camera app. Motion detected. Living room. He wasn't in the living room. But something else was. He backed toward the ladder. His phone buzzed again. Motion detected. Kitchen. He climbed down fast, almost slipping. The house felt different now, like it was awake. He turned the corner to the living room. And froze. The pale figure from the attic was standing in front of his TV. But now Caspian could see it clearly. Not a creature. Not a ghost. A small boy. Dirty. Terrified. And real. The boy's mouth opened slightly. "Please," he whispered. "He doesn't like when people find me." Caspian's breath caught. "Who doesn't?" The boy pointed toward the dark hallway. And then Caspian heard the slow, heavy footsteps. Coming from deeper inside the house.